Cole Mercer, tall, broad-shouldered, and carved from the same timber as the land, looked up from the fire. His cabin was small, lit only by 3 flickering candles and the red glow of embers. He rose slowly, like a man who'd learned not to startle easily, and took one careful step toward the trembling widow. Evangeline's voice cracked as she whispered, I need this, please." Her eyes pleaded for something she couldn't yet explain. Not comfort, not warmth, but safety, the kind desperate souls pray for in the deepest hours of night. Cole didn't question her. Not yet. He shut the door behind her, sliding the iron bolt into place. Snow-dusted tracks outside led straight to his cabin. Track someone else was surely following. "Sit," he said softly, guiding her toward the hearth. His voice was calm, almost too calm for a night like this. "You're shaking." "I can't stop," she whispered. "They're coming." Cole crouched beside her, noticing the dirt beneath her nails, the smoke streaking her dress, the way her hands clutched that saddlebag like it contained her soul. "Who's coming?" She swallowed hard. "Garrick Thorne's men." Cole's eyes narrowed. Thorne was a cattle baron with more money than morals, a man whose ambitions spread across the frontier like wildfire, dangerous, merciless, and hungry for land that wasn't his. Evangeline leaned closer to the fire, warming, trembling fingers. "They burned my farm. They killed my horses. I barely escaped." Tears welled but didn't fall. Her voice cracked again. "I can't let him take what's in this bag." "What is it?" Cole asked. She hesitated, as if even the shadows might be listening. "Something my husband died protecting." Cole didn't press further. Instead, he moved with quiet confidence around the cabin, checking windows, lowering lantern wicks, loading a rifle that looked like it had seen too many past battles. Evangeline watched him, noticing how nothing seemed new to him. Danger least of all. Outside, hooves crunched through the snow. A whistle cut through the stormy dark. Then, a heavy fist pounded the cabin door. The candles flickered wildly. The old storyteller's voice would later murmur. And that was the moment the widow's fear awoke a ghost the frontier thought long buried. The pounding on the cabin door didn't stop. It grew harder, sharper, like gunshots delivered by a fist. Evangeline flinched with every strike. Cole didn't. He moved with quiet certainty, taking down the long rifle mounted above the hearth. Its steel glinted faintly in the candlelight, old, scarred, but deadly. He handled it like an extension of his own bones. Outside, a voice snarled through the storm. "Widow Cross, open up. We know you're in there." Thorne's men. 3, maybe more. Cole cocked the rifle, steady as winter stone. The widow's breath shuddered. "They'll kill me, Cole." "They already tried." Cole didn't turn. "Not while you're in my cabin." Another slam shook the wood. Snow fell from the roof in a soft, heavy thump. Evangeline's fingers tightened around the saddlebag. "I shouldn't have come. I didn't know where else to run. I trusted you." He finally looked at her, really looked at her. Something in Cole's eyes softened. Something he didn't allow often. "You did right." A window shattered. Cold wind exploded into the room. Evangeline screamed. Cole dragged her behind the heavy oak table just as a bullet split a candle in half, sending wax flying like molten tears. Cole leaned out, fired once. A grunt. A body thudded into the snow. Silence. Evangeline stared at him, stunned. How did you shoot so fast?" "I barely saw you move." Cole didn't answer. He ejected the shell and slid in another with careful efficiency. Movements too smooth for an ordinary cowboy. Movements learned from darker places. She swallowed. "I've heard stories, folks whispering about a ghost in Abilene." Her voice faltered. A gunfighter who vanished after taking down an entire gang alone. Cole paused. A flicker of something, a memory, passed through his eyes. But he said nothing. "He had your eyes," Evangeline said softly. Outside, snow crunched, footsteps retreating. Cole lowered his rifle. "They ain't leaving. They're regrouping. Thorne wants what you're carrying." Evangeline loosened the flap of the saddlebag, revealing a wrapped bundle. She unrolled it just enough for him to glimpse what lay inside. A governor-signed land deed, sealed with wax, granting her full ownership of her ranch and the underground spring beneath it. Pure, clean water running for miles. Cole exhaled slowly. Now he understood everything. Water rights, he murmured. Thorn will burn the whole frontier down for that. He already has, she said brokenly. He killed my husband for it, and he'll frame me next. Another distant whistle echoed through the storm. Thorn's men calling to each other, regrouping for a second strike. Cole rose, jaw tightening. You ain't alone anymore, Evangeline. She looked up at him, a tear finally breaking free. Cole checked the rifle, holstered a pistol, pulled his duster coat tight. Tonight, he said, we end this. The wind howled its approval, and in the voice of the old storyteller, carried on the storm for generations. That was when the widow's desperate flight crossed paths with a ghost longing for justice, and together they walked into the teeth of fate. By dawn, the storm had died, leaving the world washed in pale gold. Snow glittered on the ridge like scattered diamonds, and the desert beyond breathed steam into the icy morning air. Cole and Evangeline rode out, two silhouettes against the sky turning the color of old whiskey. Cole's Mustang trotted with the patience of a battle-worn creature, while Evangeline's mare, her late husband's mare, carried her with surprising steadiness. She sat straighter now, fear buried under a layer of quiet determination. Old storytellers say the world changes once someone decides they won't run anymore. The widow had made that choice. They followed the narrow trail, cut between redstone mesas and thorn bushes. The horizon stretched wide and unforgiving, a place where truth could not hide. Cole slowed his horse. You ever shot a revolver before? Evangeline hesitated. No, but I'm done being helpless. Cole nodded, pulled out a small .38 revolver, and handed it to her. Then let's fix that. He dismounted and guided her behind a fallen log. Their breath steamed in the cold air as Cole showed her how to load it, how to grip it, how to breathe. Steady, he murmured, hands lightly adjusting her stance. You don't fight the recoil. You let it speak, and you answer. She pulled the trigger. The shot cracked through the canyon, echoing like a promise. A second shot. A third, each steadier than the last. Cole gave a quiet, approving nod. Your husband didn't teach you any of this? He kept me safe by keeping me sheltered, she said, eyes hardening. But I won't live in shadows again. Cole saw something shift inside her. A flame? Not born of vengeance, but of survival. They continued toward Dead Lantern Ridge. The outlaw town Thorn had turned into his personal kingdom. Its jagged silhouette rose from the desert like a broken crown, smoke drifting from chimneys and gunmen pacing the rooftops. Evangeline's pulse quickened. That's where he is, she whispered. Cole studied the stronghold with a tactician's eye. We ride in bold. No sneaking. Thorn's the kind of man who only understands strength. Evangeline pulled the land deed from her saddlebag, its wax seal cracked but still visible. She held it tight, knuckles widening. This paper destroyed my life, she said softly, but today it gives me power. Cole turned toward her, his expression unreadable beneath the brim of his hat. You ready to face the devil? She surprised even herself when she answered. I'm ready for him to face me. He reached into his saddlebag and handed her a deep red kerchief. For the dust, he said, but they both knew it was more than that. She tied it around her neck, the color catching the rising sun. In that moment, she didn't look like a widow. She looked like a woman reborn. Dead Lantern Ridge felt wrong the moment they stepped into the dusty main street. Too quiet, too still. Even the wind held its breath. Cole dismounted first, boots sinking into the powdery sand. Evangeline followed, her hand brushing the revolver at her hip. Smoke curled from chimneys above, but no voices carried. Not a horse snorted. Not a door creaked. Thorn's men are watching, Cole murmured. Play it steady. They walked side by side through the center of town, passing shuttered windows and rusted lantern posts. Shadows moved behind curtains, furtive, fearful. Folks were trapped here under Thorn's rule, their silence bought with threats stronger than iron. At the far end of the street, the saloon doors swung open. Out stepped Garrick Thorn, a bull of a man with a velvet coat, gold rings on each thick finger, and a smile sharper than a rusted blade. 2 dozen gunmen formed a semicircle behind him, rifles gleaming. Well, Thorn boomed. The runaway widow and the ghost of Abilene himself. Evangeline stiffened. Cole's jaw tightened. Thorn laughed. Did you think I wouldn't recognize you, Mercer? The man who vanished after slaughtering the Rowan brothers? I've had a bounty on your head for 8 years. The whisper spread through the townsfolk like wildfire. Cole Mercer, the lost gun of Abilene. A man parents warned their children about. A man outlaws whispered about around dying campfires. Evangeline's breath caught, but not with fear, with understanding. Thorn lifted his chin. Hand over the deed, Widow Cross. Do that, and I might let you die quick. Evangeline stepped forward before Cole could move. Her voice rang across the silent street. You burn my home. You kill my husband. You hunted me like an animal. Her fingers tightened on the deed. And I will never kneel to you. Thorn's face darkened. Then you die screaming. His men raised their rifles. Cole stepped in front of her, placing himself between Evangeline and the death aimed their way. The brim of his hat cast a shadow across his eyes that no longer hid their truth. Last chance, Thorn, he said softly. Let her walk. Thorn spat. I want her buried so deep the earth forgets her name. Cole sighed, not in fear, but in regret. Then the earth will remember yours instead. The world snapped into motion. Gunfire exploded. Smoke swallowed the street. Bullets ripped through wood, glass, and stone. Cole moved like a resurrection of vengeance itself, fluid, ruthless, unerring. Every shot found its mark. Outlaws fell before they even understood what they were facing. Stories later claimed he wasn't a man at all, but a spirit wearing flesh. And Evangeline, she fought too. She ducked behind a trough, firing with steady hands trained by a single dawn's practice. Each bullet she sent carried the weight of her loss, her courage, her rebirth. Thorn bellowed and charged forward. Evangeline met him. She fired once, twice. The third shot hit his chest squarely. The desert held its breath as Thorn fell, boots thudding against the dust. Silence swallowed the ridge. Cole lowered his smoking pistol. Evangeline stood shaking, the deed still clutched in her hand, but her eyes were fierce, alive. He approached her gently. It's over. No, she whispered, staring at the rising sun breaking through the dust. It's just beginning.